Okay, just a quick note. I did take a little extra time off here. I had planned on posting some videos a few weeks ago, but for those of you who don't know, there was a pretty massive fire that tore through some communities in Colorado. It happened to impact the community in which I live. Many of my friends and neighbors lost everything. I was very fortunate. My house was missed literally by 100 feet, thanks to the industriousness of a neighbor who just would not leave, and he had a shovel and a garden hose. That is an absolute true story. So I did take some extra time off to work with my wife and the rest of the community to help people kind of get back on their feet, get into temporary housing, get money into their pockets so they can pay for essentials, things like that. So if anyone's interested, if you want to leave a comment below, if you'd like to help, I'll be sure to respond to the comment with links to kind of resources that have been put together for the community. But it has taken a bit of a toll, and I apologize for the time off. But I'm back in here to help everyone get ready for hopefully a bunch of new interviews for new opportunities in 2022. Today, we're going to talk about one of the interview questions that I absolutely hate more than anything else. And I get this question all the time. How do I answer this question? How do I answer this question? I hate this question. Why? Because it's just lazy interviewers. Welcome back to Interview Out, where I teach you how to use the Amazon leadership principles to land your dream job. Why do I do this? Well, I've had a pretty successful career as a senior executive at Microsoft, Amazon, Oracle, started my own company, and I've been at a few startups. So I've kind of been around the block. I've hired a bunch of people. I've run a bunch of interview loops. But most importantly, and where my experience comes into play, not just in hiring the people, but I've gone through the loops as a, kind of low level, early career person, all the way up to executive searches where it's a multi-day, multi-process interview, lots of very expensive, blah, 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 super pain in the butt. And I've learned a lot along my way. And this one question is the one I hate more than anything else. And it's super, super lazy on the part of the interviewer, but let's talk about it. What is the question? Tell me about yourself. Just as a general or just in a minor quibble. Tell me about yourself is not a question. So let's start there. It's not even a question, right? It's just, hey, I'm going to ask you to just start talking. And unless you've shown up to the interview to give that speech, it can really catch you off guard, because what is the point of the question? And it really is going to depend on who you're interviewing with. And this is where I think you as an interview candidate can really kind of turn this one around. I always advocate to any of the people that come through Interview At, that they take control of the conversation, that they make sure that they're driving the conversation where it needs to go. And this is one of those questions where it's completely open-ended and can put you in a position where you just don't know what to say. How do I approach this? Data point of one, I totally get it. How do I approach it? Well, drive the conversation. And you can start with very simple, turn around with questions. Tell you about myself. Well, listen, that's a great open-ended kind of question. Do you want to know about my personal history? Do you want to know about my work experience? Because I'm guessing you're super busy and you haven't had a chance to look at my resume. Or do you want me to just kind of focus on the kind of non-worky stuff so you can get to know me a little bit better? It's a really simple way to, well, first of all, stop the dumbness of the question, but two, turn it back around on the interviewer and really get a sense of where they're at. Because this is a total cheap sales trick, but what you can do in doing this is you're asking them a question. Now they've got to answer it, but when they answer the question, thank you, thanks for that. That gives me great direction. You've now told them, indicated to them that they've done you a favor. So I feel better about this person. I like this person. I've done them a favor. They're happy. I've done something for them. So it's a little bit of a cheap sales trick, but it's also going to tell you, where their head is at, kind of what they want to focus on, but also they're going to give you a sense of the altitude at which they want you to fly, right? They might just say simple, like, just, tell me whatever you want to tell me. Super lazy answer. And at that point, just focus on your personal life, right? The stuff that you like to do for fun outside of work, because you're going to probably focus on work stuff. So you say something like this. Well, I assume you're going to ask me a bunch of questions about my work stuff. So how about I just tell you what I do outside of work for fun? Right? Paints you as a sociable person, someone who has hobbies, someone who has passions, things that you want to do. You can talk about your family if you want, although it's kind of risky. It's always one of those things where they're not allowed to ask you about family stuff. So you can offer that up if you want, but just keep that in mind. But it allows you to drive the conversation, but it also acknowledges that you're here for a job interview and they're probably gonna ask you work related stuff. So that is how I have personally attacked that question, because I've heard it too many times in my career, and I hear it in people on my teams that I've had, they're not allowed to ask that question. They've never been allowed to ask that question. It's a bad question. But it is a way for you to kind of unload the burden of this completely open-ended question, while at the same time taking control of the conversation, the interview, and turning it back on the interviewer, so they can kind of tell you where they want you to go. They're going to give you a sense of the altitude they want to fly up, but it also, you're using that cheap sales trick to kind of endear yourself to them. They're going to feel like, oh, they did something for you. So kind of at least gets you off on a better foot than the kind of flat-footedness of, I went to school for a long time and I've worked at all these, and you're just kind of making something up, and it's just a rambling. Okay, well, that's it for this week, and hopefully next time you get asked that question in an interview, you are better prepared to answer it. You don't get flat-footed, but more importantly, if you're ever interviewing somebody, don't ask that question.